Okay, so I thought I'd make a quick follow-up video to today's workshop, just to cover things that I didn't necessarily say as clear as I should have, or there were questions about afterwards. So what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to show you how to calculate an anomaly, and we'll talk about that a little bit. Talk about the two different ways you can make a caption, exporting a figure to a PNG, which you have to do for figure 1, and then importing those figures into a document. And before I show you how to do those, I just want to say that there's two parts to your assignment. There's making the figure, and then there's responding to the question that goes with that figure. Whether you put all the responses together and put the figure separately, or whether you show figure and then response, that's completely up to you, and it doesn't matter to me, whichever way you do it. So let's bring up the CET data that we were working with in the assignment today. And so I'm just going to import this and use what we did before, import it as a delimited file, shift this over because that's incorrect. Oops. Okay. Now, we talked a little bit about making an anomaly, and really all an anomaly is, it's subtracting a mean temperature from each year's temperature. And this allows us to compare different sites that have different mean temperatures. And to do this, you need to use a base period, which is just a span of time which you're going to take the average temperature of and then use that as your value to subtract from every year. So I'm going to put another column here that says anomaly, and I'm also going to put an entry here that says, I'm going to say base average temperature. And so I'm going to put the base average temperature here. Now the question for you now is, what are you going to use as your base period? The GISS global data uses 1951 to 1981, so I think we'll use that for consistency. So what I want to do now is select the temperature from 1951 to 1981 and take the average of them. So I've put in here equals average, open bracket, and then I'm just going to find the temperature from 1951 all the way down to and including 1980, hit enter, and now we have an average of 9.43. So that's our base value, our base average value, taken from that base period. And so now all we have to do to get an anomaly is subtract that base value from each year. And I'm just going to put a $sign here to make sure that when we scroll this down that it always stays this cell, referring to the cell. If you get an error, check to make sure that you have a $sign in there. So there's our anomaly for 1659, and so if I just double click down there, I now have anomalies for the entire period. So I can plot this really quick. Keep in mind I'm using a different version than before, so your Excel might look a little different. What we used earlier today was a little bit different, but if you plot, you'll get something like this. So of course it'd be up to you now to modify this to make this look good. Put your axis down to the bottom would be the first thing I'd say in terms of this version of Excel. So in terms of captions, there's two things you can do. Now, you can insert a title onto here if you really wanted to, and then you could take that title and drag it down to the bottom and then write in your caption on the bottom here. That's option number 1 for making a caption. Just make sure it's an appropriate font size and that it looks correct sitting at the bottom there. The other thing you could do is you can just copy and paste this. When you take this figure and move it to a Word document, then you can then put the caption in under the under the figure in the Word document. So I'm going to show you how to move these into a Word document. So I'm just going to click on the image itself and make sure that the whole figure is highlighted, and click copy. And I've got a version of Word open up here, and I'm pretty sure I should just be able to Control V and paste it in there. And you can modify its size on here, and then you should be able to add a caption at the bottom here. So I could say figure 1, CET anomalies, Now, make sure that you're following your rules that are written in that guide sheet for you in terms of making a caption that is clear and informative enough for an outside reader to understand what's going on in that figure. Okay, so one last thing is exporting this figure as a PNG file. So we can do the same thing to do that, so I'm just going to copy it. And what I'm going to do is open up any sort of photo image editor I'm using Paint here, but you might use something like GIMP. Photoshop would probably work. And so I just copied it on the Excel sheet, and now I'm just going to paste it into here. So I just did a Control V, or you could right-click paste, whatever you want to do. So that's pasted in there. The only thing you really want to think about is just changing the size of the actual canvas itself to match the image, and then it's just simply a matter of saving it somewhere. So click Save, Untitled, whatever. Just save it somewhere with a title that you know, and that's how you're going to create the PNG that you export to the separate folder in question number 1. Okay, so I think that's covered everything that we wanted to talk about. If you have any more questions, feel free to